It's a lot. Okay, there it goes.
Hello, 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 everyone.
Why, hello.
I am super excited, y'all. I'm super hyped. It's 6:30. I would have thought I had some extra coffee or something, but ooh, hey, come on in the room. That's gonna be my new song. Come
That's
on,
gonna be your song.
yeah. Come on in the room and get this pre-show live.
I
Yeah.
know, right?
Oh my god, I'm super excited. I'm super hyped. Like,
Yes.
y'all not hype. Y'all finna be hype after this. So let me introduce myself and let me introduce what you have walked into. This is the third quarter one of the many pre-shows that we are having to get you hyped up, to get you psyched for the conference that's September the 19th. So I'm super excited. Usually I'm not hyped at 6:30 low key on a Friday. I probably would have been asleep by now. But I just love this because it's what I do. And so I'm excited because I have my one of my amazing speakers to the right and left of me, where your screen is looking. um,
Yeah.
let me break down the concept a little bit, and I'm about to introduce her so we can have some conversation, some dialogue, and some fun, y'all. Because healing is not boring. Okay, it's not. The Healing is a Journey quarterly series of conferences are a series of conferences that God has designed and brought the vision to me to help his people to start to heal. And it's specifically designed for those who've gone through trauma and abuse, who are trying to learn how to start their journey, how to go about the journey path, and really don't want to do it alone. And so I designed this conference as quarterly series of conferences. I bring together amazing people from all walks of life, professionals who are willing to share their professional opinions and perspectives as well as their personal journeys in order to help you, the individual who might not know where to start. And so this conference is not just a webinar where you're going to just hear a bunch of people talk. You're going to get the support you need. You're going to get some solutions. You're going to get resources and tools that you can use in that moment and moving forward on your healing journey. If that doesn't excite you, I don't know what will. And so I am super excited I'm going to let my special guest introduce herself because I'm pretty sure that she's going to do way more justice than I could. So tell the people who you are. Bring it. Come on now, boo. Bring it.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am Melbang. I am a writer, an entrepreneur, um, a mother, and just excited to be in a position where I can share my story and journey. And looking forward to being a part of this Healing as a Journey conference because I, to myself, have been able to be diligent and intentional about healing in my own personal life. So I am very excited to be here. Looking forward to meeting everyone virtually, even in these times. It's just an opportunity for me to be able to really share who I am and my personal journey. So I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So I'm going to share this. So can I get a little bit personal? I mean, I'm not asking you, kind of
Yes,
like, I was
yes,
going to do it anyway. So just
yes.
like what I was gonna do. I just told you to have a conversation. But let me tell you how God works and how I know this beautiful woman right here. So I've known her. My oldest is like 20. He'll be 26. I've known him
26. Oh my
for
gosh.
25 years since he was like, no, 24 years since he was like two.
He was two. Yeah.
And I met this beautiful woman back when I was first like dating and before me and my husband even married. My ex-husband and her grew up together. They're friends. They're still friends to this day. And
Yeah.
I met her. But let me tell you, low key, I didn't like her back in the day. I was like, y'all don't know, like before God came, picked me up and turned me around.
Exactly. Both of us.
A hot mess. And I didn't like her. I was like, who is this? The friend to my man over here, right? Am I talking
And
about?
I get this a lot in regards to I've always gravitated toward male friends. I've always just had a strong group of brothers who have been protective as well as encouraging to me. So a lot of times when I do meet significant others, it can go one of two ways. It can go one of two ways. And I've always told every one of them, be very clear. that this is platonic, platonic relationship, so that they can understand. And you know, you win some, you lose some. And like you said, at this point, we do know God works because, like I said, it could have went one or two ways, and it went the other way. It went the complete opposite way. But what I know and what I can remember was, even when you approached me, it was a matter of one, knowing the truth, and then two, apologizing for the reaction that you had, or the behavior that you had towards me, even though I was very clear about where we stood
Right,
with
right.
your ex-husband, but I was very, very, very clear about that. But I could appreciate the fact that you came back to me and you apologized, and to know that, and for us to be here 24 years later
Ooh,
and be on a conference and be in a place of healing and being able
mm,
to be in a position to share our journeys is nothing but a testament to who God is. So
it is. And
appreciate you. But yes, that's how 24 years, girl. 24.
come on. So, and but the thing about I want to capture the reason I share that because back then I hadn't healed from the trauma and abuse I went through as a child. So
Yeah.
there was still a lot of rejection. There was still a lot of hurt, shame. So I viewed everything through that lens. And it wasn't until God put me on my healing journey that I was able to, I think we I don't know how we I think we ran to each other at an event. And at
No,
that point,
yes, we went, and I needed a ride home. And Edmund he would not have me on the bus. Because at that back in the day, you can jump on a bus and you get a ride back to the crib.
right.
So at that point, he was like, "No, I'm taking you home." And I think he had to step out of the car for something, but that was the pivotal moment. And again, I remember that because when it does go left, not a lot of people, I mean, not say people, but in regards to that going left, a lot of women do not apologize. They don't. So I've been able to take it to the chin for a couple of times and know that I was true to myself and I was honest about who I was. So that's all I can continue to do. But that was for me, again, that was a pivotal moment for our relationship to be able to blossom to where it is today.
And that was just God because I knew nothing about what God had for me on the other
Yeah.
side. Like I knew nothing that He was gonna have me write books, do conferences, and then bring you in. And so I'm happy. I can speak for myself that I at that moment was walking in what God is having me teach by
Yeah.
learning to forgive, approaching as a grown person, we all say, I'm gonna keep it 100, I'm gonna be grown. But
Right.
when it comes down to it, it's all about how you view yourself. So I'm happy that that's happened. But now that we're now in this space where we're able to give back, right? What was the
Yes.
moment that you wanted to like? Because I think we had she attended, y'all. Let me tell you, she attended the very first conference, the very
Yeah.
first one that I ever had. She was in the audience. She flew from Atlanta. I was like, I wanted to cry because I was like, oh my God. Like I saw her face in the audience and I thought she was just buying a ticket to support because I've had that happen. We just buy tickets to support. I bless you for that. But she was in the audience and it just made my heart smile. So what was it about just the conference that made you want to first attend and now be a speaker in it?
Well, for me, about 2 years ago, I really had to transition for me, and I was very intentional about taking on my own healing because the only way that you're able to heal is if you're intentional about it, and it does take time. And I had to go back to the root cause of where I was bruised and broken, and just really trying to make sure that I was okay because I no longer felt like Mel. And for me, I had to make sure that I was very intentional about healing. And I heard about the conference and I was like, okay, I can kill two birds with one stone. And if I get there, that I know that I'm going to follow through my entire plan.
Mm,
Was the initial kickoff for me. If I didn't do it, then I would have still been in a place of hurting. But I was very intentional. And that for me was the make or break. I can either get there or I can pretend like this doesn't exist. And to pretend it doesn't exist is very good for me because then I don't have to be responsible for anything. That for me was my break, my point of, okay, I need to get this for me. And that's why I made sure that I booked the ticket as well as that I was again, and again, because I was raised, well, not really raised in Chicago, but I was raised in Belize, always in Chicago on the summertime. So a lot, I had both friendship circles there, and I wanted to get there and again get to at least one healing step. And for me, the conference is what did it for me in regards to um, starting my healing journey.
Mm, wow. I just want to pause there because I just want I want people listening to really just take that in. Where sometimes you just need to get like stop make that first effort, right? Sometimes we just need to make that first step. It could be just saying I'm sorry to yourself. It could be
Mhm.
writing a letter to yourself. For you, you knew you needed to get there to kick off your healing. And how often do we feel like healing is just this big step that we're not prepared for, but it's just as simple as saying, I need to get this. I need to start somewhere, right? And I'm honored and blessed that God, first of all, chose me to do this, but then do that because I never really asked you because I felt like that
Right.
was personal. I knew you had to, obviously, you had to be there because you made it there. But I believe when the time is right, a person will share their journey. And I'm just blessed and honored to hear that because it makes me know that my yes to God was just bigger than just obedience. It was helping others.
It is, and for me myself, because it's hard to be in a position that you want to be obedient to God, because it does open up a floodgate, and sometimes you're not prepared for what it opens. Because I still cuss, I still have my personal life, I still have. For me, my strongest thing is I'm the girl next door that just loves to encourage anyone. I don't care who you are to have a deeper relationship with God. That's it. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be. I will fall again and again and again. But I want my life to be the example to know that I can always say, I'm sorry. I can always be forgiven and know that He's not going anywhere. So that for me, I had to get to that place
Mm,
to share that, So when I say I took the time, and again, I'm a traveler, so I can get in the car and I'll be where I need to be whenever at any time. I knew that if I did that, again, that was the springboard for something that I had already planned out. And again, anybody out there, you got to get to this pivotal moment to say, okay, I'm going to decide for me. Forget
yeah,
family, forget friends, forget wives, husband, children. If you don't get it for yourself, you are no good to not even yourself or anybody else around you. So you have to get it for you.
that's so true. That's so true. And I agree with you. A lot of times we do things because we say, I want to make sure my family is okay. I want to make sure this. But it starts with you. I did a teaching where I talked about that, where I was like, there are the two most important things that you need on your journey is God and yourself.
Hmm.
Because but you can't really have one without the other. God created us. We can try to deny, we can try to take him out the equation, but I can speak from experience that this journey, if I did not have faith, I would have probably like just like gave up and like but no. And so I can appreciate that. Now, tell me what made you go from being an attendee to a actual participant where you're going to be pouring back into others.
I'm in a good place. Like I said, and this was two years ago.
That's
Um, yeah, it was about 2 years ago. And again, like I said, that was the pivotal moment of starting. I went back home to Belize where I was raised. And again, I took the time off. I was even, you know, God, when you ask him, when they say don't go timidly and go boldly, I asked, and even in my fear, I asked for time off.
Mm.
I didn't like this job. I knew that the people I reported to didn't like me, and I didn't care for them either. Okay, I did not. So I knew I did not want this job, but I was fearful of what may happen if I quit.
Mm.
Got laid off, got a severance package. I had saved enough money to be able to get my son into college. Um,
Wow.
he does have a student loan of $2,000. The program was like about 28 or $29,000. Was able to pay that off and not have to worry. Because for as any parent, and even if you don't have children, if you know that you have children that you pour into, you want to be able to see that through the end.
Yeah.
So that was my blessing. Even when I got the call, I had mixed emotions because like it was like I really was thinking about quitting, but he positioned me to be able to still get paid
Mm.
my severance package. So I took the time off, went home. I was home for 6 weeks, and I had to start with, like I said, where it all started, where the hurt began for me. And again, was intentional, made sure that I had the conversation with the people that I needed to have the conversation with. Came back out here, I had to deal with the silence. I was so used to having my son around. And at that time, I was also 2 years outside of a divorce myself. So going through that piece. And again, it was just really writing down what I wanted from Melonie. Forget everybody else. What does Melonie want for herself? So I did take the time off that I needed, went to everybody that I needed to talk to at that time. And I'm still getting to the place where I can be able to talk to other people and let them know. Some people I still have not forgiven them. I haven't. I'm not there yet. But I want everybody that does attend the conference to be able to understand that it's not going to happen overnight. 20 years of trauma doesn't happen overnight. Forgiveness and healing, it doesn't come tomorrow. It doesn't come the day after. In the process, in the forgiveness may be that moment. You know what? I've decided, but it's still those steps that you have to be able to take. So I believe right now, where I am, I'm open to sharing as much as possible and letting everyone know that it's still a process, it's still a journey, it's still going to take time. But even in that, you can encourage others because when you stand in the gap, you get an overflow of prayers yourself.
Come on now, that's I feel like compassion and collection plate for that one because that's yeah, seriously, sometimes we do stuff and then or we're going through stuff and we get over it and we don't remember to reach back and help somebody else. Now, granted, we're not called to save the world. That's why
Mhm.
Jesus Christ died, but we are His ambassadors, and at least sharing when you're led to. But before I move on to the next thing, I forgot to mention, but it's okay because it was an intentional forget. Okay, no, I said intentional forget. We are doing a raffle. So I'm excited. I'm always excited. That's my word for 2020. I'm excited. We for the first two individuals that go while we're live that register for the conference, you get a bonus. So it's like a buy one get one free. You get the first or second quarter webinar replay link, which is jam packed. If you have not attended the conference, they really are sequential. So there's like the forgiveness, the fear, the purpose, the dreams and goals. You can watch in order, but sometimes if you watch one before the other, it's like boom,
Right.
it's powerful. So if you're in this, if you're on live and you're watching this and you like what you're hearing just now, then you want to be in the room because this is just one speaker. I have two amazing speakers that
Yes.
their own testimony that God's going to use. And it's 3 hours. The company is not about to be boring. You're going to get answers you need. You're going to get questions. is engaging. We are going to have audience participation. We're going to have selfie time. It's going to be an amazing time to get poured into and to be restored. So get your tickets now. The first two that get their tickets get the last 2 quarters the webinar replay link, which is jam packed. You get the vendors, you get the connections to everybody that was there. You want to reach out and reach back to them and get resources. So I
Yeah.
was going to do it now because I mean I'm feeling generous. So what can I say? You know, I feel like giving back. My cup is overflowing. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you think about, because we both are believers, when you think about the faith aspect of it, right? I have no problem telling people I love the Lord, Jesus. I got to the point where I got comfortable with that because in the beginning of my journey, like how you say you still curse and you still do certain things, um, I struggled with that because I was just like, I still have all this stuff that I'm doing, right? Now I'm at this point where I'm like, look, I might drop an F-bomb every now and then if I get mad. I like to have a cocktail or two. I enjoy life, but I enjoy it reasonably. But faith is still important to me. And
Mhm.
it's still ahead of my life when it comes to anything, not just healing. When you think of your journey from where you were before and now as you're walking healing out, how like when you think about faith, how did that like help you? How did you come to be how can I say this? How did you come to being comfortable walking in your own relationship with how faith works for you? Because we all have our own relationships, how we work it through.
Yeah, for me, I have covering, still do. I was in Louisville, Kentucky for 7 years, and um, I have got to. Initially, when I moved to Kentucky, I had a friend, have not even had, but have a friend, Korea, and she invited me to her church at the time. And it doesn't matter, every Monday, she would say, I missed you at service. I missed you at service. And I would never attend. And then she would tell me about, what the service was about. And that was the first time I was introduced to, I was raised Catholic. So I knew the ritual of attending church and having the prayer. Like I knew rituals and routine, but a personal relationship with God came later. So
Mm,
um, when I did, when she would talk to me about it, I would be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go. This one Sunday, I pulled up and I came, and it was a Baptist church, and I'm like, the stereotype of them in church all day and praying all loud, and I'm like, I was raised Catholic, like my mama would kill me. That kind of thing came. So I pulled up the first time, and I didn't go in. I did not. My mom was gonna kill me. I'm grown with a child, but that was my first um, thought when I was sitting in the car. Then I went back the following Sunday because, again, remember, this is Korea's like every month, faithfully. Monday morning, she'll tell me I'm missing service. So I knew she was going to say it. I remember the cars around there, and I told her about the neighborhood, and she was like, "Well, I didn't see you inside." Okay, so Catholic churches normally are huge.
mm.
This itty bitty church, right? I'm like, oh. So I'm in there and I'm like, okay, well, I told her about the cars and I told her about, and she was like, well, I didn't see you inside. I was like, well, I was in the back line, right? Following Sunday, I get to the church and I'm like, okay, Lord, you know that my heart is for youth. You know this about me. And if this is where I'm supposed to be in my season, let me know. I walked in, it was Youth Sunday. I was greeted by a youth. They had the message by the youth. It was all this yellow shirts. I'll never forget that day.
Mm.
So, and I'm going somewhere with this. So that was me being introduced to Christ as an adult. Then it went from that to being involved and really, being a part of connecting with the youth ministry, connecting with the youth. But I never transitioned my mindset because there was so much perfectionists and or imitation of perfection in the Christian faith. So even though I knew I wanted this, I didn't get an example that I can be human and a Christian at the same time. I didn't get that from that church. So a few years later, met our first lady of the second church that I went to, and met her, and she came to one of our women's conference. And I was the host then, and making sure everybody was okay, getting the conferences together. And when I met her, it was something about her that I knew I needed her leadership. I don't know what it was, but the moment I met her, I knew I needed her leadership. And when I transitioned over to that church, I realized that I can be human. And I was taught that I am going to be okay. And, I'm going to have a rough day. I'm going to have some low blows. My tears are going to dry and I'm going to be wounded, but I wasn't designed to lose. So once I realized that and I got that from them, oh, you can tell me nothing from, because then I know. Now I know. So when I didn't have lights, I knew God was going to show up. When I didn't have a roof over my head, I knew God was going to show up. When I didn't have a good paying job, I knew God was going to show up because he already had opened this door for me to know that even through these trials and tribulations and disappointments and believing that somebody's going to be there and just not knowing, I knew he was going to come for me one day. And it didn't have to be this, grand entrance and all of this, the horns and the clouds. No, he used people to come and get me. So even when I was being an ass, I was called out on it, used people to be able to check me when I needed to. And he used people also to make sure that my son was okay. Every man that was in that church poured and continues to pour into Trey to make sure that he's okay, So when I say my faith, it's not going to be this pretty or, and it's not even going to be the King James version. It's not. It's going to come with a little cussing. It's going to come with a lot of tears. It's going to come with a lot of experience for me to be able to know that you're going to make it. And I can tell you that you're going to make it because I've made it.
Come on now. That's what's up. And I agree with you. I think when you get to the realization that, first of all, God doesn't call us to come to him perfect. We're never going to be perfect, right? He calls us to come to him. That's really what we have to do. And that's just, it's so beautiful to hear you say that. And the reason I say that because I struggled for that. Like the beginning of my walk as a Christian, I was like, fix this, I need this fixed. Like I had a list of things that I wanted God to fix. Because I just feel like it didn't fit how I thought Christianity used to be. And I actually taught this today and yesterday where I had a tainted view through the lens of like abuse and trauma because my first abuse was my mother, who all she did was listen to church music, yet she was abusive. So in my eyes, I was like, I need to fix myself in order for him to love me. I need to fix myself so I can be this perfect picture of Christianity. And that's not the case at all, right? God loves us even in the midst of what we think is we're doing wrong. He sin that's greater than the next. So in reality, we all out there sin in one way or another. Even the most devout Christian who's in the church all their life and quote scriptures, they still have something they're struggling with. Because if we don't struggle, we won't need God. And that's not saying that he wants us to be out here bad, but we need him. And the same goes with healing. You're gonna have some good days on your healing journey. You're gonna have some bad days. You're gonna have, I tell people when I started chemo, after the first treatment, I got sick. I told my therapist, I go back. And she was like, "You can't just not go back." I was like, "I don't want to go back," and I was being real because I was just like, "This is horrible." I even got mad at God, and I love the Lord. It was like, start to read Job, like, did I do something wrong? Are you cursing my life? This is horrible. But I didn't give up. I voiced how I felt. I, cried, kicked and screamed, and then I got up and said, "Okay, how are we gonna handle this?" And that is sometimes what you might need to do on this journey, this healing journey, is you might get upset. It will hurt. It might make you frustrated. You might just want to
Mhm.
sit out for a minute, but you don't stop. You allow yourself to go through those things, and faith is the very vessel that will carry you through. Faith is the vessel that will carry you through the journey. And I love my life. I mean, I didn't like it back then, but now I have this unspeakable joy, this peace that, like, I don't even have the words to describe it. And I could use some big words, but it's just I love my life. And from the outside looking in, it could seem like, okay, you're overcoming cancer. We're in the middle of a pandemic. You're not working. Your body is in pain and all that. But I'm like, okay, but God, like you said, we're not designed to lose. And when you think of it, like when God says in His word, all things work together for the good of those who love and call for His purpose. That's all of us. We're all called by Him,
Mhm.
but sometimes we have to learn that. Sometimes we have to figure out what that looks like. And the last thing I want to talk about and address is the different dynamics of healing, right? Healing is not that journey is a one-way street. It's not
Mhm.
gonna look the same for everybody else. Like the way God worked with me on my healing is gonna look different with you. Mine has been a process because, like you said, 20 years. I have I'm 42, so I have about 40. My view started when I was little, so about 40 years of unpacking to do. Of God really showing me this is who you are. This is who I
Mhm.
created you to be, right? And
Mhm.
so me, my journey has been God providing for me, loving me, redefining who a signer is. And
Right.
I love it now, but then I didn't because I was like, what happened to all the people? What happened to my comfort things? What happened to me being comfortable doing certain things so I don't have to deal with it? For you, when you think of how God did the unpacking of the trauma, because it's really an unpacking that happens, and it's
Mhm.
layers to it. How do you? Because there's the pick you up and then like just reposition you, and then there's the kind of shifting. For you,
Right.
what was it like he picked you up, or more like, okay, I'm gonna shift this, where he kind of gave you a different perspective?
Well, when I went to him in prayer first because I was always waking up angry and I was wondering why I was always mad. So I went to him in prayer. I did. And I realized that he started sending me people that were more mad than me. And I didn't like that at all. So um, I had to change my prayer so that I can not only stand in the gap, because for me, when you stand in the gap, you know, you stand in the gap for someone else. Um, at that time, it filled me as well. So once I started to remove myself from the equation, even though I knew I needed it for me, right? I knew I needed it from, I knew I needed them for me. But even in that, a lot of times in your journey, when it comes to healing, if you remove the focus from yourself, you'll be able to sharpen the tools that you have helping somebody else. And then you'll realize how to fix you. So it's always for me, and I can't talk for anybody else, but for me, that's how I did it. Because at first I prayed for myself. I was very selfish in my prayer, and I knew I was. And then I turned it outward. And there would be nights that he would just drop people. And sometimes I would send them the text like, this is what this, that. And for me, I always talked about me being a place of being vulnerable. I don't like that position.
Mm,
But I knew that that was the beginning of some of those journeys of being able to say, okay, you know what? I'm standing in the gap for this person today, or I'm standing in the gap for this person today. When you ask for your healing, he'll show you the people around you that are having the same struggles. And then you'll pull tools and answers, and you'll pull um, tips to be able to get you to a better place, to be able to help. So for me, he did show me myself,
Mm,
and I didn't like what I saw.
mm,
He showed me people that were either just as ugly or uglier. And then he knew I was a helper. So I would run and be like, okay, well, let me help you over here, or let me look at you over here, and let's do this for you. And then those tools that naturally came out of me, I was able to apply for myself.
mm. I like that. I like that. And if you think about it, iron sharpens iron. So these
Hmm.
actually are the tools, and I love how God does that. The word vulnerability, when you said that, it it's a word that I think a lot of people struggle with, right? Because when we think of vulnerability, we think weakness, but not
Hmm.
necessarily. I feel like, and I've learned this personally, that when I'm vulnerable, God has shown up in such a way where, like, I've experienced like a new level of worship. The
Hmm.
other day, like, I have been in pain, and I posted I have been walking, and I was so proud of it. But the other, like, I think it was yesterday, I was stretching, like, I was listening to praise and worship music.
Hmm.
I was stretching just to get my range of motion back, and I just found myself praise dancing. And it was just in my living room, like another level of worship. And I was super excited. I'm like, oh my God. But I started crying because, it was just, and I'm not a dancer. The people who know me, I have two left feet. It wasn't even about coordination for real. I just have two left feet, like literally. Um, it wasn't about coordination. It was about being vulnerable before God and that new level of worship. And I find that on my healing journey, because I'm still on my journey, we all are going to be on the journey until we get
Hmm.
home. That level of vulnerability will allow God to pour into me and send people and accept the help. Because sometimes He'll send people and you'll be like, yeah, no, I'm good, right? But accepting that help. And so I'm appreciative of how God has shown me how important vulnerability is. And I'm
Hmm.
just excited about the new ways that He's going to do the healing in my life. So,
Right.
do you have any last words for the people? Because you've been dropping some nuggets, and
I
I've
know.
been in the comment section like, boom, he said that.
Yes. So there was one point, well, two actually. And as it relates to the conference, I wrote, give up on the hope that the past could have been different.
Mm,
Go. Free yourself for what is to come. And when
mm,
I wrote that down, um, everybody wants to change the past. And that's time that's already been spent. So you have to look at today moving forward and design what you want that to look like. It's not going to always look picture perfect. It's not. You'll still have the moments of crying. You'll still have the moments of disappointment. But there is the sun that will come again. There is the rainbow that will come again. So just know that the past is just that. You can't restructure it. You can't change it. You can't do anything. All you can do is deal with it and make sure that you pour into yourself. You get what you need for you. Take the time out for you. You
mm.
have to do it. Nobody else can do it because nobody else knows your story. You have to do it. And then lastly, my one of my favorite R&B artists, Monica, she posted the other day, I don't live in the shadows of my truth. I walk in the light they created. And
Oh,
that I hope that everybody lives in their truth. It's so freeing and refreshing, and it's easy. It really is. It's easier to live in your truth.
yeah.
So accept that for who you are. Accept who you are, and move forward. So those were my last two pointers that I wanted to give to the people until the conference. You know.
So we're not
So
gonna give them no more nuggets though, because we want them in the room of a conference. See, you dropping
yeah,
stuff, we've been had a whole nother conversation. Okay, so Jasmine Hills in the comments, so we can read some. If you guys have questions or anything, please drop them in the comments because we would love to answer some before we slide on away Friday night. So let's see. Jasmine Hill says, I just talked about that therapy session. My 29 years wasn't as good as I like it, but doesn't mean I have to allow my next 29 to be the same. Come on now. Oh, come
yes,
on in the room.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Because it's so true. Like, that's how I always talk about don't let your past stop you from living in the present and seeing your future, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so important that, yeah, you've been abused, you got hurt, and not just crediting that, but taking what's done to you and flipping the script and making it as a tool of a
Mm-hmm.
vessel of greatness, baby.
Yeah.
Woo!
Because letting go is not, it's not even about forgetting. I'm not saying forget. I'm not saying to pretend it didn't happen. It has happened because I am a product of molestation. Like I went, that was an experience of mine. And I came to head on with the guy, head on with him. In that 6 weeks, I was in Belize. And it took everything out of me. I saw him twice. The first time I really wanted to run him over. Like and I had the opportunity to without witnesses. But
To say the devil.
where I was, I knew where I was. Then the second time he came to the house, because a lot of times what people don't realize is that, and that's why I never force kids to hug me. I never force kids um if they're not comfortable, I go in their comfort level. It's always with, because the most vulnerable time that pray, for the longest, I believed it was my fault. For the very longest, I believed them, and I was told it was my fault. So I had to unlearn that. And that's another thing too. Just like how generational curses, healing can be passed down as well.
Yes.
I go and I made sure that I shared that story with my son. I made sure, because boys are not exempt from it either. So
No.
I shared that story with my son. I made sure that I was able to be in a place to be able to even have this discussion. And again, going back to the people that I believe were responsible at that time, I went back. Oh yeah, you got something to explain it to, because now we can have a conversation as adults. Were those the best tools that you had at the time? They might have been, but this is how I felt at this moment, at this time, at this age. So I'm not saying, when I say let it go, it's not a matter of ignoring the fact that it happened. It has happened. But don't get no lame man's opinion.
Mm.
You go to a professional to be able to guide you and make those decisions, because then everybody has an opinion. But in order for you to heal, sometimes it requires professional help and not a
Come on
person's
now.
opinion. So I'm not saying let it go as in ignoring it. I'm saying let it go to, don't let it affect you to the point where you are no longer a part of this world. If that
Mm.
makes sense. Because like a lot of people, they'll go in and their mind transition into, oh, that ain't me, or this whole epiphany of perfection again. They go
Mm.
this, and that's not what it is, because you can heal. Healing is possible. Healing is a choice too. So that's what I would say about that.
Well, baby, I'm gonna drop the mic on that one. Boo boo. You gonna drop the mic for real? Like y'all see, she dropping nuggets, and y'all getting the pre-show. She dropping some free game,
Yes.
y'all. So
Yeah.
take some notes. But you want to sign up for this conference because healing is a journey. Healing is for you. Healing is available. You have to want it, but it's here for you. God said healing is free. We have to start somewhere, and sometimes
Yeah.
you have to start with getting the resources. Like she said, therapy.
Hmm.
I still go to therapy. I have no shame, baby. Every week I'm in my therapist's office because
Hmm.
you sometimes there's things that's re-triggering. Sometimes life can happen. You need
Hmm.
a person who is licensed and trained to walk you through that. So everybody that's tuning in, I thank you so much for just
Yes.
taking the time to just listening to us and engaging in this conversation. If there was any questions that you had that maybe you did not feel comfortable sharing in the comments, DM me, slide in my DM, drop the comment, the question, and I can slide in her DM and let her know what it is. But
Yeah.
September 19th, noon Central Standard Time, virtual experience of Healing is a Journey. You're going to hear from this beautiful, amazing, blessed woman of God and two other individuals. I'm going to be the host. They'll know the questions. So if you actually have some questions that you might want to have me ask, if you plan on attending the conference, slide that in my DMs or send me an email at info@listiner.com. I love you all. Thank you so much, man, for like popping
Yeah.
up. And
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I really do.
love everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye.